The horror genre in gaming is emerging even higher thanks to all the amazing announcements at the beginning of June 2025. That means it's time for me to take a look at one of the indie gems that had a pretty decent amount of hype around it. So let's talk about it. Oh, you're looking at this? I got myself a new mask. New mask? Shame on me. But anyways, welcome back to our channel. Today we're looking at one of the recent indie horror games that I think almost everyone forgot about just now. Post-Trauma, the very first project created by the independent studio Red Soul Games and published by Raw Fury. Post-Trauma is a survival horror game where you play as an elderly individual to survive against these strange circumstances, with a decent focus on themes like regret, isolation, and loneliness. Based on all the trailers and screenshots that we have seen in the past few years, you can easily tell this game was made to be a love letter to the classic survival horror franchises from the 90s, with iconic elements like fixed camera angles, clunky combat, inventory management, manual save system, and puzzle solving. Considering that Post-Trauma was going for a more atmospheric and psychological approach, it is not a secret that many players thought this was gonna be a true successor to the Silent Hill franchise, even going as far as saying this was gonna be better than the Silent Hill 2 remake. But now that I played it myself and did research on this game's history, it is clear for me to say, they were wrong. Now before we begin, I just want to point out that most of you guys who watch my videos aren't even subscribed to the channel. Please do me a favor and click the subscribe button if you truly love my content. Also ring the bell if you don't want to miss any of my new uploads. Without further ado, from subway station to school shenanigans, here's my retrospection on Post-Trauma. Let's start off with the biggest accomplishment that the devs have managed to achieve. The atmosphere in this game is genuinely astonishing, with a horrific use of sound design inspired by the Dead Space franchise.
Big inspiration from that game could be the sound design, because I think Dead Space sound design is top tier. Like it's like the way it plays just with sounds, like rattling, and it's gets in your heart. So
the whole vibe made me feel very immersed within the levels of it, and with the use of the classic fixed camera perspective, the game gives you the sense that someone or something was watching you all the time, even if you were all alone. Like this camera angle, for instance. The camera is right inside the train and it's following our main character going left or right. I wonder who that could be. Another thing I liked about the camera work in this game is this part. When you move to a different position in this room, this mannequin will actually turn its head towards you. I can even glitch it to turn its head without changing the camera. Creepy stuff. I might exaggerate a little bit, because I didn't really play a lot of indie horror games myself, but I think Post-Trauma has the best use of lighting and atmosphere for a horror setting since Inside. Just remember, this game was made by 9 people in total, yet they nailed everything that I could ask for in terms of the visuals for a modern survival horror game. So what is this game about exactly? The main character of the story is an old man in his 50s or 60s named Roman. And I gotta say, this type of protagonist is something you don't see every day. I mean, in most horror games, you play as a young man or a woman either in their 10s, 20s, 30s or 40s. But playing as an elder or a seasoned individual is a very rare concept used these days, and Red Soul Games deserves an applause for taking that risk. Post-Trauma has 4 levels in total: a subway station, a hospital, a school, and some ancient ruins. Some of these areas aren't very new to the old school SH fans, but I was kinda hoping the subway station will be like the major setting of the whole game, considering that this is what was showcased the most in the game's promotion. Sad to say, that's not the case overall, because you'll spend most of the time exploring the hospital and the school, solving puzzles here and there. Now that the basic elements demonstrated their audition for the horror genre, you are now asking what the gameplay experience is like. Well, it's complicated. Let's just say that you will solve puzzles and riddles for the majority of the game. Some of them are very well designed, and they do require using your brain with close attention. But unfortunately, most of them also require a lot of backtracking, because unlike the Silent Hill games, there is no map for you to carry throughout the place you are in. The only way for you to view the whole layout of your current position is examining those framed maps attached on the walls. That's literally the only method for such action. The lack of this very simple mechanic made me get lost a few times throughout the game, and I still did while making this review. The worst thing about the puzzles in Post-Trauma is that the solutions for certain riddles are either paintings, marks, memos, or devices that are placed far away from the initial puzzles, and you cannot put them in your possession. Roman is unable to just take notes of those solutions on a scrap of paper or something. Imagine not having that mechanic in a game like Dishonored. If you happen to forget what the answer was for a riddle, tough shit, you have to face a moment of backtracking. The only way to avoid such moments is to take pictures on your phone. That's what I did for most of the game. Oh, again? Fantastic! The one puzzle that frustrated me the most is the one you solve just before the encounter with the final boss of the game. I never understood how this one works. I looked at those marks on the walls and floors multiple times, and I still can't make sense of it with these cylinder pieces. Because I didn't want to waste any more time, I had to look it up online. I think what you are all the most curious about is the combat of the game. How big is its role in the game? Well, prepare to be disappointed, because what I'm about to say is that all the combat features in this game are bare bones. There are only 3 melee weapons in the whole game: a crowbar, a sledgehammer, and a spear. You only get a single swing animation for each of these weapons with a simple button press, and because this game features a stamina bar, you only get to swing 3 or 4 times in a row before getting tired. You also have a dodge button that requires a small energy, just FYI. Some of the enemies in this game do have their own unique models. You face against this conjoined abomination, this legless hamster alien guy from Prometheus, this big-headed creature with multiple arms and legs, a monk with a mask holding a book and a mana stick, and this generic aggressive naked guy that goes down with one hit for some reason. What is this, Batman Arkham Asylum? With the clunky combat and these terrific looking enemies, you would expect them to give you some sort of a challenge and feel some jeepers within your skin. Right?
Right? Wrong!
You couldn't be more wrong, because all the enemies in this game are piss easy. Every single enemy in this game is nothing but child's play. Each one of them goes down with 5 or 6 hits, they barely throw any punches, and when they do, they are painfully avoidable with the use of the dodge button. That's not even the main problem though. The real deal is, you barely even encounter these guys in all the levels I mentioned. What I mean is that the number of enemy placements in this game is shockingly small. Most of the areas in all these locations are just empty spaces with barely anything going on. You only come across like 3 enemies for each main location. You know what? Let me count them down for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15! This is where we come to the conclusion that Post-Trauma is not a traditional survival horror game. It's a puzzle game. The enemies and the combat feel like they were an afterthought. Neither of these obstacles gave me a sense of emergency. The worst part about this is that you also get to possess firearms, like a pistol and a shotgun. And needless to say, they are pretty much useless, due to the fact that you can just beat the entire game with the sledgehammer and the spear. The only time I actually faced a challenge was this chicken leg monster in the final chapters. This fella can kill you in like 1 or 2 hits. And that was something that I missed in the past few hours of this game. These are pretty much the only things that I will recommend using the guns against. Unfortunately, you get to see this creature only twice throughout the entire game. Without them, this game would be a bigger piece of cake than what Samson and Judy cooked in Ace Attorney Investigations 2. I also don't really have a lot of positive things to say about the boss fights. There are only 3 bosses throughout the game, and only 2 of them had the potential to give me a hard time, but they are just too easy to beat overall. The first fight is with this tall white masked monk, and while she has a unique look to it, it doesn't feel like she belongs in this game, because she looks like something that I would encounter in Elden Ring. The second boss is this giant spider lady. The only difference between this one and the previous one is that she's actually a character with vocal performance. We'll talk about that in a second. The final boss... you know what? I refuse to call it a boss, because this is more of a gimmick boss. And your main objective is to just solve this giant floor puzzle. There is no challenge whatsoever, unless you are an idiot and let this tentacle creature kick your ass. It is sad for me to say that when it comes to the story, there is just nothing to write home about. It's all just this mystery mumbo jumbo with a series of weird events that leaves me with more questions than answers. There are only 5 main characters in this entire game. Like I said, we play as Roman, and I think the story is trying to tell us that he did something horrible in the past, and he just doesn't remember what he did. Next up is Carlos, who is a police officer. And guess what? You actually get to play as him in 2 certain sections of the game. When you finish the subway level, you wake up as him inside of a police station. And not only that, the game switches from fixed camera to first person. The same thing happens when you finish the school level. Interesting idea, but it's very poorly executed. Playing as Carlos in first person doesn't provide anything valuable to the story or gameplay. It's all about solving puzzles while avoiding a water monster that has a temporary encounter. This doesn't give me survival horror vibes. This is more of an homage to Amnesia: The Dark Descent. These sections don't serve much purpose besides padding the game. You then encounter Carlos face to face as Roman later on, serving as sort of an antagonist of the story? Don't know, don't care. He just dips in the end with no resolution. The next main character is Freya, a little girl who communicates with an AI voice on her phone due to the loss of her vocals. I don't really have much to say about her, except that she has her own campaign after Roman defeats the first boss. Your objective here is to find medicine to heal Roman. Just like Carlos, her playable section doesn't provide much, except solving more puzzles, but she doesn't even have any obstacles on her way. Kinda useless, don't you think? There is one part of the story that confuses the hell out of me. When Roman meets Freya for the first time, she gets taken away by this monster, and the acting here makes me question my sanity.
Oh no, oh no, shit, I didn't mean. Wait, shit.
Not the worst part though, because when they meet up again inside the school, they are both acting like nothing happened the last time they saw each other.
Why did you do that?
Bring you your phone. I thought you...
No, why did you follow me, stupid? Gonna die here.
No, I don't know. I thought maybe you needed him.
Nope, I'm good. See ya.
So he's not gonna question if she's okay or what her kidnapper did to her? We're just gonna let this moment slide and move on? Okay. The 4th main character of this game is Jill, this mutated spider lady who serves as a recurring antagonist of the game. Wait. Jill? And... Carlos? This may be just a coincidence, but I just can't help but think these 2 characters were named after Jill and Carlos from Resident Evil 3. Anyways, Jill taunts Roman throughout the whole story and tells him that he ruined her life forever, thus serving as the second final boss fight of the game. Like I said, she's not bad, but also not very hard to beat. The final character of this game is this guy who is just called King. He's just here to appear in only one cutscene of the game and provide exposition of how to escape this place. I think we can all agree that this is the best voice acting delivered in this game. You wanna know who was responsible for this performance?
Younger brother to he who holds up the world himself. One of 10 regions in a forgotten kingdom of the drowned. A lord of folly.
Yep, it's none other than Corpse Husband. Another reason why post-trauma didn't live up to the genre is that there are some parts in the trailers that didn't end up in the final game. Let's break down a few examples. This jail cell that serves as a safe spot is not in the game at all. This clock puzzle in the hospital is very different compared to the final version. This specific hallway doesn't exist. Roman never uses a hammer. He never encounters this wall full of human bodies. This radio has no animation when you insert those tapes recorded by Carlos. There is no dust storm or an enemy placement when you reach the maze part. Freya never encounters this enemy in her playable section. And last but not least, the final boss used to be a giant arm instead of this mutated tentacle. According to the developer himself, this change of content was due to budget issues.
Even if it looks like realistic graphics, this is an indie game with a really small budget, so that's why also our price is low, because I want people to know that this is a small game. Like, don't expect a high production, like it's just.
And to put an end to all the claims that say this is next-gen Silent Hill, this is what the director had to say about that.
Some people were even complaining, oh, this is the next Silent Hill. No, it's not. Like, I appreciate you a lot, but this is not the next Silent Hill, and I was always aware of that because you can compete with that, and I'm not trying to. Like.
So, yeah. Overall, Post-Trauma is not an indie successor to Silent Hill. It's just a horror puzzle game, made with passion, but with misled anticipation. I feel bad about being so critical of this game, because Red Soul Games did show passion and effort on this project with this number of people. I really wanted to love this game because the atmosphere is flawless, some readers are creative, and playing as an elder in a horror setting is a very unusual concept used for a video game. Unfortunately, all of it falls apart due to minimal use of combat, uninteresting characters, a mysterious narrative that lacks an original identity, enemies that don't feel threatening at all, and some puzzles with very vague clues and solutions. The game is still a great first effort from a new indie studio. I just wish it was advertised a little bit better. I hate to say this, but when I'm in the mood to play an indie horror game, Post-Trauma will be one of the very last things that will come to mind. However, despite my nitpicks and criticism on this project, I'm still crossing my fingers for Red Soul Games to take the feedback from this game and move forward with their career of developing survival horror games. There is potential there, and they did demonstrate their skills within the development cycle. If you are a fan of the survival horror genre, I don't think this game is gonna be for you, because you'll spend more time solving riddles rather than fighting a lot of enemies in different areas and managing your resources. But if you do love this type of gameplay, I would say give it a shot, because it's not a very long game and it only costs $12 in total. Post-Trauma is for puzzle horror fans only. It's a bummer that I didn't enjoy this game as much as I expected, but it's better for me to be sincere rather than lying about my opinions. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Farewell.